I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump just made perhaps his most treasonous and traitorous statement yet, and that is saying a lot. He is calling for all of the January 6th insurrectionists, all of the January 6th terrorists to go free. He put this statement out on his social media platform after Fox propagandists selectively edited footage that he received of surveillance footage from the Capitol building from the January 6th insurrection that it was handed over to Kevin McCarthy. I'm going to show you some of those clips a little later in this video, which, by the way, do not prove at all what he's claiming that they prove. But let me read to you first Donald Trump's completely traitorous statement. This is what Donald Trump just put on his social media platform. He goes, "Congratulations to Tucker Carlson on one of the biggest, quote, scoops as a reporter in U.S. history. The new surveillance footage of the January 6th event sheds an entirely different light on what actually happened. The Unselect Committee was a giant scam and has now unequivocally been stamped as a criminal fabricators of this most important day. Pelosi and McConnell failed on security. The police story is sad and difficult to watch. Trump and most others are totally innocent. Let them go free now." He puts that in an exclamation point and all in caps. Look, when I read that, I have a lot of emotions. I am angry. I am incredibly disappointed. It just makes me sad, and it's embarrassing that someone who was in Donald Trump's prior position is out there saying such treasonous and traitorous things. There was once a time in our country where we could objectively agree that people who attacked our Capitol building, that trying to overthrow a free and fair election and try to topple our democracy is wrong. But now the Republican Party has become the MAGA Republican cult, and its leader wants to continue the insurrection to this day. Here's Donald Trump's other post. "Great courage shown by Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy in releasing the surveillance footage to Tucker Carlson so that our country and indeed the world can see what really went on during the January 6th events. A whole new and completely opposite picture has now been indelibly painted. The Unselect Committee lied and should be prosecuted for their actions. Nancy and Mitch were a disaster on security. Thank you, Kevin and Tucker." Then he puts "free at last." Look, this is somebody who is disgusting, despicable, and incredibly desperate. The other night when he spoke at CPAC, the Cult PAC convention, he said that if you elect him, that he will be the retribution, essentially calling to the insurrectionists that he will be their vengeance to try to topple our great democracy. And here he is calling for the members of the January 6th committee, which he disparagingly refers to as the Unselect Committee, for them to be prosecuted to bringing out the truth. Let me remind you this about Tucker Carlson. I'll just read from the filing of Dominion's brief in support of their motion for summary judgment that was unsealed a few weeks back. This about Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Sean Hannity, who immediately understood the threat to them personally if they did not provide election disinformation to their viewers, that it was a threat to them personally to tell the truth, that they all personally understood that the big lie was just that. They all understood that Biden won a free and fair election, but in their deposition testimony, in their text messages, and in their emails, they viewed the truth as a threat to their money, as a threat to their finances, as a threat to them personally. And here is what Carlson wrote to his producer, Alex Pfeiffer, on November 5th. Quote, "We worked really hard to build what we have. Those fuckers are destroying our credibility. It enrages me." He added that he had spoken with Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity a minute ago, and they are, quote, "highly upset." Tucker Carlson noted, quote, "At this point, we're getting hurt no matter what. Pfeiffer responded, quote, "It's a hard needle to thread, but I really think many on our side are being reckless demagogues right now." Tucker then replied, quote, "Of course they are. We're not going to follow them." And then he added, quote, "What Trump's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. He could easily destroy us if we play this wrong." So Tucker Carlson makes a deal with Kevin McCarthy against the advice, against the guidance, over the objections of the Capitol Police, who say if you release this surveillance footage, it could show people where our surveillance footage is located, and future insurrectionists could use that to try to attack the Capitol building. So what does Kevin McCarthy do? He's going to make a deal directly with Tucker Carlson, by the way, who also called his viewers, who called those spreading the big lie, effing lunatics, because that's what Tucker Carlson actually thinks of his viewers. And here's what Tucker Carlson said. He goes, this is what he says on his show: "In retrospect, it's clear the 2020 election was a grave betrayal of American democracy." This is Tucker Carlson going on the platform, spreading more election disinformation. I am sure Dominion's lawyers, who will be asking for punitive damages, are watching this traitorous piece of filth say this on his program. Play this clip.
The protesters were angry. They believed that the election they had just voted in had been unfairly conducted, and they were right. In retrospect, it is clear the 2020 election was a grave betrayal of American democracy. Given the facts that have since emerged about that election, no honest person can deny it.
And so what is Tucker Carlson's evidence in support of all of it? What is he showing in his selectively edited clip? Well, here's one clip where he's trying to show that the Josh Hawley tape, where Hawley's seen running around out of the hall away from insurrectionists, that clip is somehow manipulated and edited. And in showing that, Tucker Carlson's support is a clip that shows Josh Hawley running away. Except you see other lawmakers running away before him, and Hawley is towards the end of the line of people running away. And that somehow is supportive. Here, play this clip.
The surveillance footage we reviewed shows that famous clip was a sham, edited deceptively by the January 6th committee. The clip was propaganda, not evidence. The actual videotape shows that Hawley was one of many lawmakers being ushered out of the building by Capitol Hill police officers. And in fact, Hawley was at the back of the pack. The coward tape was a lie, one of many from the January 6th committee.
And so here's another clip of what Tucker Carlson's saying. Is he's saying the insurrectionists, they were just, who let them in? They just were nice people who just were trying to do Capitol tours. They were just taking tours of the Capitol building. Now I want you to watch this clip because you actually see the insurrectionists breaking down the doors. So I'm not sure what Tucker is trying to prove here. You see that QAnon shaman person who calls himself the QAnon walk in, and then Tucker shows a clip like within this same clip, about 30 seconds later, it shows the QAnon shaman walking, and Tucker asks, "How did these people get in?" It's actually in the beginning of your clip. You see them smashing the doors and then breaking in. Play this clip.
A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in. To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened.
And here's one of Tucker's other points. Oh, they were taking cheerful selfies, and they were just smiling. This was like just a nice tour. Here, play this clip.
They were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists. They were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber.
Okay, I don't need to show you all of the footage of the insurrection. We all saw it. We know that it was not a nice tour that people took. Were you could there be a portion on a clip where people are walking around and some insurrectionists are just kind of walking around and in awe of the Capitol Rotunda and are not acting like complete maniacs once they're in? Well, the fact that they trespassed showed they're traitorous maniacs, but the fact that they're in there and they're not always engaged in attacking the Capitol, that somehow proves anything? This is complete filth. This is like taking 9/11 conspiracy theory tapes and cutting them and editing them and just saying, "Oh, look, this is what we really see," or "Look, you can see the terrorists on the airplanes. They were eating peanuts in this for this footage for these 3 seconds. Look at them. They were just eating peanuts. There's nothing wrong with them." This is unprecedented in our history, that you have a complete degenerative cult that is a political party with a propaganda network that hates America, that hates our democracy, that hates our Constitution. And why? Because they care about themselves, how it affects them personally. We worked really hard to do all this disinformation. We worked really hard for this. And now the truth is, we can't let the truth out. We have to lie to our base. It is so sad. It is so disturbing to have Fox be like this, to have a once proud political party, Republicans, become a MAGA Republican cult to Donald Trump. To have someone in Donald Trump's, someone with that former position, to call for insurrectionists to be let free, to be the voice of terrorists, to have that be a political party, it is despicable. It is despicable. And anybody who supports that filth, should be utterly ashamed of themselves. Horrific. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So please hit subscribe right now. Also check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You'll love the content we have at our Patreon site. It helps grow this independent media platform. Also, check us out wherever you get your audio podcast. Just search the MeidasTouch podcast. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Love this video? Then you'll love the MeidasTouch podcast. Listen as my brothers and I break down the latest news and chat with top political leaders on the fastest growing pro-democracy podcast in the world. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. Add the MeidasTouch podcast right now wherever you listen to your podcasts.